Ba-ba-da-bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba-ba-da-dum, ba-ba-da-dum, ba-ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum. Oh, shit. Okay. Yay, I guess. I'm gonna watch someone else's stream as well. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Hello, Donut. How are you? It's been a while. I am just here trying to draw me up. Yeah. You good. Yay, we love to hear it. Oh, fuck. No! Oh, I put this on the wrong layer. Oh, crap. Oh, so I don't want to redraw everything. I'm so sad. No! Yeah. So whenever I do line art, again, this is just like a little pro tip just because I love using this. This saves up so much time, so much strain. It's so convenient for anybody that does use Clippaid. I usually really like good for doing the vector layers just because they allow me to do really quick, easy erasing. So like if I have to do like hair, and I was like, oh no, you see like the little thing. I don't have to go in manually and like erase it like this, and then have to like clean up. It's like that takes too long. So instead, I'll use it on the vector layer, and then all I have to do is just do a tiny swipe, and then it'll erase itself. It did not erase properly, but it basically just does that. Like one small swipe, and then it'll like be gone. It's very quick, very convenient for things. But unfortunately, it doesn't have those properties if you're doing on the normal raster layers, which is essentially the layer that I drew on. So if I want to if I want to erase around the body right now, I'll have to do it manually, so that kind of blows. But I'm too lazy to like fix it. I always wonder what vector layers are. Yeah. So if you ever decide to touch on what is it? I think it was illustration from like Adobe or any, I guess, other programs that basically are for kind of graphic design. Vector layers essentially will allow you to resize the objects that are within it and maintain the quality and like the pixel hold or whatever. So say, let's see, I'm going to do a little heart, little heart over here, tiny little heart. Actually, I make it a little bit smaller. Tiny little heart here on the raster layer, and then tiny little heart on the vector layer. B. So when you have these tiny little layers and then you make it bigger, right? You see already how it's super pixelated. And then when you use the vector layer, bam, it's so convenient. This is great for line art specifically. It's more ideal for line art because you can't really color. I mean, you can, but then it doesn't. You're not really able to use the bucket tool properly. However, for line art, it's great because if you have like a different thing you want to resize, or if you made it too small, you can like constantly reshape it, resize it, like do what you want, like squish it, pop it, spin it, twist it, whatever, and then it'll still like maintain the quality. If you do that shit with like the raster layer, you like squish it, you like shrink it again. Oh, maybe not like that. You shrink it, and then it's just gonna turn like even more dookie like quality. So vector layers are great. Highly recommend. I don't think vectors work. I'm just not gonna utilize them. Using them will probably save me though. Honestly, to each their own. Whenever I use After Effects or like motion graph animation, I know it would save me a lot of time if I did scripts, but it feels easier. And this is, when I say easier, this is like the kind of, you're doing more because you're too lazy to do the other way. That's actually technically easier. It's quote unquote easier for me to be able to do everything like manually. It's just always like the one, like maybe the one day I'll get used to it, or maybe one day I'll learn it properly or utilize whichever makes it more fun, to say the least. I think is always the way to go. Now, I know I had some friends that strongly prefer to use, say, scripts, not even scripts, expressions. Sorry, I think scripts, expressions in After Effects, and then others where they strongly prefer just doing everything just manually, even though it takes them probably like a lot longer, but it's more comfortable. So I just personally prefer the vector layers, especially just because I am very, very lazy with manually erasing everything. But that being said, when you manually erase, there is the additional touch you can add onto the piece. It's a little bit harder to see with say line art, but if you're doing painting, and then if you're painting the line art, that kind of makes sense. So essentially, if you're doing like a sketch. All right, you do the sketch, and then you're like kind of erasing it. You get an entirely different feel in comparison. So something you actually cannot get if you're doing vector layers. But yeah. It just saves up so much time. And I think that like when I have to edit, say if the hair strands they don't look right to me, all I can do is just select and then move over, and I don't have to worry about having to like redraw everything. Anything that'll help save my wrist in the long run is great. Back to art. I wonder if there would ever be a stream where I'd be comfortable enough to do full yapping. Shit, I didn't think of that. It makes more sense because I drew in military and was like, I like draw very scratchy. Like, granted, I learned people don't do that after 2 semesters later. But I would like to pick up the skills of using Illustrator, but also virtually. I just really like the paint significantly more. Which is why it's so painful for the one day I need to eventually learn how to use Photoshop. It's gonna take time, don't rush it. But just keep building confidence and look at all the scores you get, and eventually get the ability. Noticeably, yes. Yay. So, scroll. I hope. I look forward. Let's see. Where's our glasses? So need also the reference of her hair. I don't think she really styled her hair too differently. In the wait, hold on. Look at the reference. Okay, I see it. It's in the illustration for the promotional outfits. Lycon's hair looks very volumized and very fluffy. And I think Ellen's hair was just basically the same. So, you know what's like really interesting is when you think you kind of understand a character's hairstyle and then you actually try to draw it and then realize, oh, I have no idea how am I supposed to draw? Because I think I had a drawing that I had a beeping for a friend, and I remember specifically when I drew the hair, I was looking at it and I thought to myself, oh, this does not look like him, even though technically at first glance it should be. And then have to change like a little bit of the first like parting of the hairstyle, and then I realized, oh, now it looks like him. So the hairstyles are just as flimsy as facial expressions. Luckily, Cooking City isn't so much different from Photoshop drawing wise. Yeah, like thankfully, but you know I guess the utilization, maybe just for me, for all of the shortcuts and the ability to move and customize your workspace on this app is like really, really, really nice. And I got used to it. So when you try to understand the layout of Photoshop, it's just painful just because you can't do a lot of things. That's much steeper of a learning curve, but it's just I'm comfy in this program. It sucks whenever I have to use Photoshop, which isn't so often, but only for whenever I say I had like clients or something to triple check to make sure, like if I have to triple check to make sure the not values, the CMYK file is acceptable, because I've had in the past, I've sent files in, not to clients, but to Zines or zines, if you want to pronounce it correctly. But I've had one piece that I worked really, really, really hard on, and only to find out that the print made it look super fucking ugly. Really upset me, still to this day, so I really wanted to triple check to make sure that whatever file I'm giving, that is intended to get printed is going to be printed in the right colors. I technically think you can check that in Paint, but Photoshop makes me feel a little bit more secure just because it's even more intended. Paint just has so many different options that I don't know, because whenever I do the conversion, it's kind of different. But, even I'm trying to do that. Probably I need to advertise myself a bit more, because I don't go live, but basically it's just a blank, just talking to a blank wall. Don't know my niche. Honestly, I don't necessarily know what my niche is. I'm just doing whatever it is that I feel comfortable enough doing. I can't bring myself to do things I'm not, which is why I don't think I could. I don't know if I really could be a proper streamer. Especially as like a job. It's fascinating to think about. and a dream, just like all the big boy corpos, but I don't know. And especially with the new algorithm that I should have some more serious intent of learning, but I'm so lazy. It's just so much. I don't want. I like doing what I like, and when I like doing what I like, I end up doing it far better than the things I don't like. So, that's just the. At the very least, art in itself is a direction that we can go into. Whether or not that be fandom stuff, for content creation, or for OCs, which genuinely I wish I paid more attention to for my own OCs, because I'm very, very, very neglected. I can at least figure out that, this is one thing that I really, really like. Now, to add on to that is an entirely different thing. It's so nice. It's so easy. Clean, beautiful cover girl. It's especially great for like these bangs, you know. I don't have to and keep it like consistent if it's intended to be. I mean, I can do that, make it look more natural, but it saves effort. Um, Understandable. Shipping's hard, man. I don't want to get my characters out there. I don't care about money. I care more about having fun with what I look like. Real. Right? Uh, I remember like the days where I had a friend in high school where she drew nothing but her OCs, and honestly, it was very, very inspiring for me. I no longer talk to that friend, but like, she definitely she had an impact on me in regards to that. She was always really, really, really good at coming up with a lot of like concepts for sketches, and it allowed them to be poured into the OCs. On top of the fact that I used to roleplay, we used to roleplay like ship our characters together. So it was really, really fun. I still wish that I could really bring myself to do more OC art, but he's, I don't know. I think it's still the perfectionism aspect. I feel like I need to make it look good because I have that little external pressure. It makes it harder to kind of start. I'm not really like active enough on YouTube or or anything. So I don't know how I fare. And I know the feeling of, say, playing video games or doing stuff for yourself is very, very different than experiencing it with stream. And that's to say, if you have like an audience you can engage with, it is very, very, very difficult to be able to back and forth with a blank wall, as you said. All your arts are so good, and I thank you. Really? Thank you. Yeah, tiny. Way. I am happy. You think so? I think I'm just constantly in a state of I need to do better, which hinders my enjoyment quite a bit at times. Like it makes me feel super, super proud whenever I can accomplish something, but then I don't know. I never really allow myself to just go the quote unquote easy route or do things that I would feel more comfortable doing. Which I had a friend who told me, you know what, if you want to do the three-fourths side profile again and again just because it's comfortable to do it, I just tell you not to. You should just do it. It's like, you're so right. And then I don't do it. But I did. Oh my lord, that's a name. Hello. Just Abigail. Abigail. Oh, what's a dream? I'm just yapping the struggles as an artist and kind of content creator. I feel like I haven't done content in a hot bit. But be out here, literally. I mean, I'm animating right now while I'm streaming a sneakers video, basically breaking the fourth wall with streaming right now. They love that though. I don't know if I'd be able to do animation. Are you doing like 2D animation or are you doing like motion graphic? Because if you type in community, we refer to the motion graph editors as animators, and for those kinds of blown up esque videos, they're considered quote unquote animation. So would you be doing like motion graphics, or are you doing 2D or even 3D? That'd be crazy if you were doing 3D. Oh my god. I think about like friends who do 3D, it's so funny, it's so painful, because what they do is just magic to me. And then I ask them like, oh my god, how would you do that if I'm trying to get advice on how to do animation? And then they do the equivalent, like the audible equivalent of like looking at you, putting their hand on your shoulder, smiling through the pain, and be like, God will allow it. Fate, God will allow it. I was like, what? Like, a lot of pain, essentially. So, make picture move equals animation for all, dude. Dead ass. Just make it move. Honestly, it's animation. If I have to think about keyframing, it's just animation. I wish though, like, my understanding for movement though was a lot better. But that would mean I have to do more animation, and animation makes me feel pain inside. It's so satisfying, yet it's so painful. So, just as much as 3D. 2D, it's like terrifying. I'm obvious when it comes to it, but I also dabble in 2D art as well. It's suffering. Yeah. God will allow it. But dying must suffer. What's the last time that I did? Wait, technically, I guess like no. Wait. I guess like the last time I did like 2D animation was probably for my class. So my school actually offered this course that was called Studio Animation House, and essentially what would happen is that we would be divided into two separate groups. So our class was not like super big, you know, it was like a normal like 20, 30 people classroom, you know, in comparison to like lecture halls, which have probably like 100 people or whatever, right? And essentially what we had to do was make a pitch, and then send it, or we would present it to the class, and then the class would vote on the top two animation ideas that we would have liked to actually spend the rest of the school year. No, I think the rest of the semester. Yeah, I think it was the rest of the semester because I was like trying to be ready graduation. I didn't I didn't have a function with the full on like solo projects, thesis. Yeah, like thesis projects. I'm like, no, fuck that. I want to graduate as fast as possible. So yeah, I was like, we basically had to dedicate one entire semester to doing one singular animation. And that was just based off the popularity of whoever came up with the most fascinating ideas. And we boiled it down to two. And then afterwards, actually, no, wait. I'm getting mixed up. Oh, God, there's so much that happened. Oh, it's been long. It's actually, it hasn't been that long since I graduated, but it feels like of the time between now and since that class has just been such a long period of time that I'm kind of forgetting. Okay, we have to do pitches, and then we present them, and I think we would then have to do our partner. Yeah, no, we would both on the top five, I think. Then we would pick up. We would partner up for the top five, create, I think, a story, like, not storyboards, full like, animatic storyboards, basically. And then we would present them to the class, and then the class would decide which two we wanted to spend the rest of the semester with. So, I ended up partnering up with one of my classmates who basically had a sort of, like, Spider-Verse-esque city graffiti, like really artsy type of story idea. And I think the other one that won was this story. It wasn't like a noir film-esque aesthetic that was like very, very, very dark, and basically involved cars in LA, like crows, like a scientist, and like mech. And that is like a cool ass idea, but the thought of doing that is like either in 3D or hand drawn animation felt more painful to me than doing something that was, Spider-Verse-esque, So I did my chunk for the thing, and I ended up doing a lot more for that project that I probably should. I got lectured by my teacher while I was presenting. So during one of the check-ins, because we basically have to check in every now and then for the project, just to see like where we were going, functioning as a proper studio pipeline, because you really, really, really shouldn't be doing all this shit last minute, because if you did like me with my other class, you'll get it done. So we actually had a full of an animation as we could get in this period of time with the team that we had. And I'll put emphasis on the team that we had, because a lot of the people in the team did not really do their stuff up to par in the ways that we would have really liked it. And I'm talking off model, off timing, off expression, late, bare minimum, poor communication. It was so much. And I think I ended up covering for a lot of people when trying, because I ended up being the art director for it. We had like the main director who pitched the entire idea, but I was the art director, where I was basically pointing out this needs to be fixed. This one's inconsistent. This one needs to be adjusted a little bit more and all that kind of like good stuff, right? And it felt like second nature. This is the first time I've done this kind of thing, but in the setting for animation, I think this was a good exposure. But yeah, I ended up doing a lot of things that basically I was like hand holding a lot of like my classmates, and my teacher at like a certain point during one of the check-ins, she's like, "You really shouldn't have done that much, or you haven't been quality enough. Like you kind of need to chill. Like make sure you chill for the next like check-in." And I was thinking to myself, wait. Like, I shouldn't be doing this much. She's like, no, you really should. You're killing yourself if you actually in the industry. I'm like, oh, I see. I'm right. Functional teamwork. That must have been. That sounds horrible. Yeah. I mean, so is the case when it comes to class work specifically, you know. But it's really. It's so fascinating because when I saw like the other group, they were functioning significantly more than us. It's also like fascinating just because the core group of our for our project specifically was very very tight knit, like a lot more tight knit than you would really expect. This is the first time all of us have met, but we basically had like 4 major people, which included me and then the actual director. Then we had the producer, and then we had the lead animator. So of course it was like all the people that were basically heavy lifting, everyone else. And then we had we sort of had like one other person, but she was kind of on and off. But as a core group, it was like very strong. They were all super dedicated in making sure that this was as good of a quality as we could really bring it to a short period of time that we had. And while we had very strong chemistry, the rest of the group was lacking. And when you look at the other team, they all seemed super separate. You can tell by the body language, whatever they were presenting. Like one by one, you would see all of them either crossing their arms or just like really like kind of not fully being there, but the quality of their work spoke for itself. So it was really cool seeing. We had actually a couple of people that were in the class that did 3D animation. One of the guys specifically was like a mech type of like animator, and so he was like an animator and like basically a modeler. So he would just kind of be doing stuff like God, what are some shooty shoot franchise? I don't touch the genre at all, but yeah, like those types of like video games, and you know how they have like the full on body suit, like the Doom-esque kind of suits, like those kinds of like that boy like art pieces, I guess. It was really cool seeing the final product. It definitely felt a lot more polished than Powers at the time. I think we ended up spending an additional year, I think, trying to clean it up as much as we could before submitting it to film festivals. And this was like the first time kind of doing this kind of thing. So film festivals have at least a year, I think, if not maybe 2 years, where you're not allowed to show it anywhere, except for probably just like whatever festival that you're submitting it to. So
wow,
that was interesting. Whole lot of process for like animation. I basically not only was the director, but I ended up doing literally almost every single role except for the organization, which the producer was like fully in charge of. Thank God, because I I can do it, but God, it was a little too much. And this was just all on my own recording. So yeah, I ended up having to do animation to fill in like dead spots that were not submitted, which was fun. They ended up turning out a lot more nicer than I expected. So practically, I think my sense of motion is not too bad, but doing it more often is still very painful because you would think that doing frame by frame the major one when you're doing the main pose, right, the T pose, and then the in between should just be literally in between. So like whatever is in the onion skin wrong. You have to think about it, and I don't like thinking about it. But I'm okay with it. But God, I wish I have I have an animation. Actually no. Well, it's not like full like 2D animation. It's a puppet animation that I'm working on right now. I still don't really. I don't put that in the same box just because a lot of the animations that I do for post on YouTube are like full frame by frame 2D. So this is just puppet, and while that is a form of animation, it feels different in comparison to frame by frame. So I don't really put it in the same category. But technically, I've been working on it. Ooh, and I really want to post it, finish it eventually. But as with any other artist, it's always I want to do this and I want to do that, and then I never finish anything because I have like 10,000 projects at the ready. So, shit. I never noticed she had like the sort of side lip thing going on in her hair. It's so fascinating. This. show. It just depends on which tool you use to get the job done. True. Oh wait. Well, 2D refers more to the overall categories to begin with, and there are multiple subcategories. Hand by hand, subcat, which is a puppet animation, as a subcat. They are two different. Depends on which tool you use. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, the thing is, it still does differ just because, say, for puppet, right? You're cutting up a singular illustration and you're basically morphing it. Whereas when you're doing like frame by frame, you know, you are doing a custom morph, like repetitively over like a long period of time. And then if you have something like After Effects, it's powerful enough where you only have to morph it like a couple of times throughout a period of time for keyframing rather than like consciously thinking about like, it morphing from one shape into the other kind of deal. But yeah. Basically what you said though. And hello, Nora, more. Welcome. I am mild yapping. Only mildly. Hey, how you doing? You're a good artist. Thank you. I tried. God, do I try. I try all the time. Yeah. Try all the time. That's how it goes, right? this one. There we go. Oh god. Let me draw this. Oh god. I like vaguely remember. I'm just not good enough to remember the full reference. Just thinking of the early 2000 He-Man memes, honest. Oh. That was like long, beefy, like with like the coconut cut. Oh, it is okay. See, I identified him more with like that pink shirt, and I think that laughing meme than anything else. So. That's the meme. The laughing meme is that. Oh. You know, I don't think I've ever looked at the video version of that. I've always seen it, which is the image. So I've never actually associated with any sort of like sound or audio. Why is this so thick? Hello? Galaxy Association. Now you know. I might check it out later. Just out of more curiosity. I need to double check to see if there's any cutscenes that have like her phone or something. I feel like there should be. She's like high schooler, so.
How terrifying does this look?
There we go.
Oh, that is terrifying. And this would be such a lovely night. Oh.
The heck is the thing?
Mm. Ah. Why do I not like this mic? Is it this mic? Which mic is it? Mm-hmm. Dysfunctional. Mic. Oh, doing that must have been that sounds wonderful.
Go.
Oh, this is gonna look bad, isn't it? Because that's gonna clip. Hold on. Oh my lordy. Am I doing this right? It turns on. One, two, three. Hmm.
Fulfill methods.
Crazy. Mm.